So what we can do from here is we can create what are called scenes. And these different scenes are for different things. So I have my game stream, which was my initial creation. This was for just PC streaming. So I have a stream time account, I have the most recent donation, most recent follower name. This is the pop-up that I have. This is why we have the CLR browser in. This links to my Twitch alerts that will create a pop-up when someone follows or donates. And also play a sound. Live stream overlays, I create some overlays in Photoshop for my stream, so it has my webcam with a little border around it. It has some lower thirds that say the names of the most recent followers and the most recent donator as well. I have my webcam, which goes in the corner. I have the monitor capture below that, which is when certain games will only work in full screen or they won't work with other methods such as the game capture or the window capture. But I also window capture some of my games too. If you watch my other video on low budget single monitor setup, you will see how I have my monitor set up. So a monitor capture isn't ideal for me, but if I'm showing something such as something on Twitter or YouTube, I will switch that on so I can show people on my stream what I'm talking about rather than having a black or blank screen. If I have it window mode, it's because I play the games in windowed mode. Some games won't allow you to do game capture. It's just because of the DirectX 9 or DirectX 11, especially if it's a little bit older. So you may have to use a window capture for them. However, most games will work with game capture. You don't have to do these. These are completely optional. You can just right click, add a scene, and that will create a new one of these and it'll be blank in the sources. I have my console stream. So this is when I'm playing on the PS4. I use the Elgato to bring it through. I then have a new follower donation overlay. I have a simplified overlay, which I just created. I have my webcam with delay. So as I said, the Elgato creates a 1.5 second delay. So I have my video from the webcam delayed. If I right click on this, properties, you can see here, I have used buffering in milliseconds. I have this checked, and that will delay the video feed from my webcam by 1500 milliseconds or 1.5 seconds. Then I have my live stream top layer. Then I have the most recent follower names and the donators as well. Lastly, I have the PC stream with the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera, which is when I'm playing the PC game. I use a different camera for my webcam, which I have set up. I still use the Elgato through the HDMI out on the camera. It's just a much better camera. I do not recommend that anyone buys this for a webcam at all. The reason I have one is I also do video work on the side, and I'm using the camera that I have, which is a lot more expensive than any webcam. I've just got it on a tripod and I'm using that while I have it available to me. So I will now show you how this all looks. Click preview stream. This is how you can test the stream without actually streaming. I have it set so it does not record. It will take a second. Nothing is really plugged in right now, so you will just see the overlays without much more coming through. It takes a while because it has to initialize the Elgato, but it will work. So there we go. So just right click that, properties, nothing going on here. I don't have to have that checked on. You can control the volume that's coming through the game console here. So rather than having to set the volume of each individual game, you can set the volume of the device. So I've dropped it down to like 60%, 70% here, so that when it comes through the PC, it's lower than my microphone that you can see down here. This is my microphone option. This is the desktop option. The Elgato sends the audio through as desktop audio, so that's where you can control it here. So as you can see, my microphone volume is higher than the desktop audio, and it's also lower here. So that way it just have a little bit more control. Let's make a new scene. Okay, so right click, add scene, and you'll notice that the sources are blank. What we can do here is we can do one of two things. We can add something that's individually made just for this scene, and we do this by right clicking in the source window, add, and we can do either a window capture, which is, say for example, if you have multiple browsers, you can choose a specific browser and it will capture what's inside of that window. If I click this, click OK, you can choose either the entire window, so it will show you these top bars here, for example. You can choose which is the entire window, the inner window, which will just chop out all this extra like borders. You can choose whether to capture the mouse or not. I generally turn this off. Capture layered windows. If you just hover over them, that'll tell you what it is. Compatibility mode is if you're running an older game. You can actually manually increase the gamma, which will be that if you're playing the game and it's very dark on the screen, but you want to play it, for example, like a horror game, you can play it that way, but the video feed coming into the stream, you can actually brighten that up so people can see it. You can lower the opacity of it. You can also do a sub-region. So if you don't want to show the entire window, say for example, you don't want to show your bookmarks, but you want to show the inside of it, you click the sub-region, and it lets you then, if you click select region, lets you draw a box of what you want to. If we do this, we can scale it down, like so, move it around, and just select an area within that window. And just click out, like enter or escape, or click outside when complete. So click enter, and then I'm going to just cancel out of that. So that's how you do a windowed mode. Click add, click on monitor, very, very straightforward. It's just select the monitor and it will capture everything on it. So if I only have one monitor set up, it will just capture this screen. When you do this, you need to make sure that you minimize OBS, otherwise it will capture that also, but it will capture whatever is on your screen regardless. And as you can see, that's how you add the Elgato. That will come under video capture device. Or you can choose the webcam from here as well. And whenever you select this, you can configure it. I think the Elgato will only configure when you're in preview stream or streaming. So just be aware of that. So here I've used audio device or use device audio, which means it will take the audio from the PS4 and bring it through. I can again control it here. Okay, so then I already covered about the video capture, window, and monitor. I'm going to cover game capture. This is kind of like the window capture, where instead of you being allowed to select a window such as this, or Chrome, or Firefox, or anything like that, it just looks specifically for the game. Again, some games will not work this way, so you may have to run them in windowed mode and then use a window capture, but a lot of modern games will use this. And again, click OK. Much like that, it says choose the application. You have to have the game already running. If you open the game at this stage and you want to choose it then, just hit refresh and it will update that list. You can have it set to stretch image to screen. I wouldn't recommend that. There's a different way that you can do this, which I will show you. Capture mouse cursor, again, up to you. You can increase the gamma as well to brighten up or darken it if it's too bright. But I'd say don't go more than 1.05 if you're going to increase it. I found that that's okay, but don't mess with it too much. If you need to bring in overlays, you can do that through an image. Click OK and just navigate to your file. I always check this button here, check file for changes, because if you make a change to the image, which I have to do regularly, if I have to update and go, okay, this is in the wrong place, that's in the wrong place, trial and error, check this button for file changes so you don't have to keep manually reloading that image. You can also load, just as another point, GIFs as images. So that goes as images. We have the game running. I'm running it in window mode. As I said, I have a 1-1 setup. Please, check out my other video on how to do it this way. It'll show you how to do that. You can also do it in the menus of the game. So I'm going to go here, I've set this up, and I'm going to hit preview stream. So I hit preview stream, and now we can see the game is the right size. As I said, the game is coming in at 720p, that's because I have it set that in the GTA settings, but you notice how it's set to game capture. My GTA game is a windowed version of the game, but it fills the screen. It's not showing the rest of my monitor. It's not showing any of the borders, it just takes the actual game feed pretty much in real time. If I want to change the size of this video, if I want to add, for example, overlays, edit scene, what it does is it adds these little handles here, and I can actually scale the image down. So when you bring in something like a webcam, you can scale it down to the corner, you can move it, all this kind of thing, into different places. If you bring in overlays, you can do that too. I always make my overlays at 1920 by 1080 so that they will always fit a HD video if I need to, when eventually I get better internet and I can stream at a full 1080. But there are many shortcuts that you can use here, but you just right click on the capture or the source, go position and size, do fit to screen or Control F. You can, if we scale it again, you can do center it. So if you want something right bang in the middle, there you go. If, you know, for whatever reason, for example, a notification or something, you can change the order. So if you have multiple sources in here, you can change what goes on top or what goes on the bottom. That's very important. The program is very, very basic. Okay, if you want to actually make this available, you don't want to do it this way. This is just, I do this a lot because I have different ones here. So I have the PC options here and I have the console one. So there are things that are different in one to the other that are specific to each of these. But what you can do is you can do something called a global source. Click on global sources, click add, and you get the same options here. And I click game capture, GTA 5 capture stream, for example, and it brings it up here. Click OK, like so, and now it adds it to the bottom of this list. You can select one, change the properties, all that kind of stuff. Click OK, and now when you go right click add, go to the global source input, and it's right there. Click OK. You can change the name if you want to specify, and then what that means is that if you go into any of these different scenes now, this will be available in all of those. So you don't have to keep creating the same thing over and over. It won't remember any of the settings that we did here. For example, if we had it scaled down, it won't remember any of those things, but it will be available, so we don't have to manually add them for every single scene. If you want to save any of your scenes, just file save, and that will save everything. I generally do this if I do changes like this now, and then I'll hit stop preview, and then I'll do it again just to be safe. So yeah, all that's left to do is hit start streaming and your videos will be online. You can add text on screen. I use this with the stream labels through Twitch Alert, and what I do is it writes the information to a text file on my computer, and I just navigate to that text file, and then what it does is it puts it on screen. So, and it updates itself, so whenever a new person follows, that most recent follower thing will actually update itself. You can also CLR browser, that is for notifications. That will be a separate video. This is far too long already. I've tried to cover as much as I can. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and I will keep adding to this as I discover more things and bringing out new videos for you. But thank you very much for your time, and I will see you in the next video.